In today's Reddit stories, we have a woman who's thinking about leaving her man if he doesn't propose, and another lady who has feelings for her best friend but doesn't know what to do. If you want to know how these stories end, get yourself a coffee and grab a bowl of popcorn so we can get into it.
I'm 31, my boyfriend Peter is 29, and we've been together for a year and a half. Before I met Peter, I was with someone for 10 years, and we had 2 kids together. Unfortunately, though, we never got married, even though it's something I've always wanted. After my ex, I told myself, I'm over 30 now, and I still want one more baby. So from now on, I'm not going to let anyone string me along and waste my time. For any future relationships, if we're not engaged after a year, I need to walk away because I'm not wasting any more of my prime years on someone who can't see my worth. After my ex, and before I met Peter, I had a couple of failed relationships. I'm not going to lie, I never thought I could love someone so much. But Peter's so good to me, and he's sexy, funny, smart, considerate, romantic, and most importantly, he's good with my kids. I have a lot of trust issues because of the toxic relationships I had in the past. But despite all that, I trust Peter more than I've ever trusted any man, which is huge for me. When we first got together, I told him how I felt as far as the whole engagement timeline, and he seemed to understand. He also reassured me that he wanted the same thing. He sold his house and moved in with me after about 6 months, which I will admit was kind of fast, but I don't care. He's all I want, and living together made sense because we're always together anyway. Well, one day, about a year in, we were walking through the mall, and he literally dragged me into a jewelry store to look at engagement rings. I couldn't help but get super excited. However, that was 6 months ago, and every time I try to talk to him about it, his response is, "You know I want to marry you, and I want to give you the proposal you deserve. I just don't know what to do or how to do it." I reassured him that it doesn't have to be some big, extravagant thing, but nothing I say seems to matter. He just tells me to be patient. We're planning on going to the beach in a few months with friends and family. I keep telling myself that if he wants to make a moment out of his proposal, that's where he'd do it because there's no better time or place. At that point, we would have been together for a year and 8 months. But I'm trying really hard not to think about it too much, because if it doesn't end up happening, it's going to completely shatter me. I've already pushed back my 1-year timeline for him because I love him so much. Recently, though, we've been arguing quite a lot about this, but at the end of the day, he's the one I want to be with. That said, I also don't want to keep overstepping my own boundaries by continuing to let a man string me along. I'm wondering if he still hasn't proposed after this trip. Should I continue to wait around and hope that it happens one day? Or should I respect my boundaries?
As I read this story, I couldn't help but feel like OP's rushing and pressuring her partner to perhaps do something he's not ready for. OP's whole thing about the 1-year timeline is her plan, but what if her partner has wishes of his own? OP said that she wants 1 more kid, but what if her partner wanted 3? Should he give up everything he wants for her? I understand OP's desire to get married and settle down, but forcing and rushing isn't good for anyone. Marriage is a binding contract, and it's supposed to be a lifelong commitment. It's not something you should pressure someone into doing. Generally speaking, when people feel pressured, it can make them question things, resulting in them becoming fearful of making a decision. Personally, if I was dating someone like OP, her eagerness for marriage would be a red flag. It almost seems like she's using her partner to simply get what she wants, never mind his hopes and dreams. Let's see what's circulating in the comments.
Angel says, "You already have kids, moved in with him after 6 months, and you think the important issue in your life is not having an engagement ring, not you jumping into marriage too soon and not having any second thoughts. Instead of focusing on getting engaged so you can push out another baby, maybe slow down and consider what this means to your existing children. If your boundary is engagement or marriage, why did you commit, move in, and make him your kid's stepfather before even knowing him properly or getting a ring? If he's great with the kids and a good person, it's pretty cruel to destroy their life again because you don't know how to take your time. Please don't have more kids. You're careless with the feelings and needs of the ones you already have." Squeaky Potato says, "I think you first need to take a step back and ask yourself how much you really love this guy, how he fits into yours and your kids' lives. Or are you just in love with the idea of him because he can offer you the opportunity of marriage? You've said that this man is good to you and, more importantly, good to your children. He's obviously shown that he's committed, and literally sold his home and uprooted his life to move in with you, becoming a part of your family. You say you trust him, and he's also said that he wants to marry you, so none of what you said sounds remotely like he's trying to waste your time. So why are you willing to throw away something you see as good after less than 2 years of dating? Dating for 2 to 3 years at that age is well within the realm of normal. It doesn't mean that couples that wait that long aren't committed. Marriage is legally binding and divorce is messy. To be honest, I can't imagine that many people would be ready to jump from meeting someone to committing their entire life to being with them and their children within a year. A new partner and marriage are also a huge change for kids, and they should really be the first priority. Going a bit slower isn't necessarily a bad thing. In the last 1.5 years, your partner's gone from being single to living with his partner and her 2 children in her home, so he might just need a bit longer to settle into this huge change in lifestyle and be comfortable in knowing his role in the household. I don't think you pressuring him within less than 2 years of dating is going to help, and might actually make him feel like his life's spinning out of control. I truly don't believe he's leading you on, but it's quite possible that all the engagement ring talk makes everything feel extremely real, and he panicked, or didn't feel ready to take on a new role yet and didn't feel like he could talk to you about it.
I think OP needs to calm down before she scares off the man she claims to love so much. Her story has made me feel under pressure, so God only knows how her partner's dealing with this.
I'm currently in a 7-year relationship with my boyfriend. We live together and have a healthy relationship. We have the same values and goals, treat each other well, and have a lot of fun in the bedroom. On the other hand, my best guy friend, who we'll call Bob, is someone I met 5 years ago and have developed feelings for. There was a period in our relationship when me and my boyfriend broke up for about 6 months. And during that time, me and Bob got a little flirty. We would hold hands, cuddle, and were very touchy. We talked about it at the time, and I didn't want to make him feel like a rebound. So I told him I still had feelings for my boyfriend, so we took a break from hanging out. After a while, we started hanging out again, but strictly as friends. My boyfriend knows what happened during the break, and he's okay with me hanging out with Bob. The thing is, over the past year, me and Bob have got close because we're literally the same person. He's going through a lot with his family, and we're both into mountain biking. We've biked over 40 miles together and spent over 16 hours together nonstop with no problems. We also went to a competition and were together from 2 a.m. until 11 p.m. My other best friend said she feels tension whenever we all hang out, and she's always teasing me about Bob being in love with me. He's never crossed a boundary, but when me and my boyfriend had that break, me and Bob hung out a lot more, and it felt natural to be affectionate with him. To be honest, though, I don't find him that physically attractive, and he's religious, which sounds messed up, but I've got strong feelings regarding raising my kids without religion. Me and Bob like the same foods, movies, and everything else, whereas me and my boyfriend are different, but we're compatible and I love him deeply. I'm unsure if this is a lust thing or if I truly have deep feelings for Bob, but I recently got butterflies after hanging out with him. I was thinking to stop hanging out with him for a while, but my mind's all over the place.
This story is one of the reasons as to why guys aren't usually comfortable with their partner having male friends. OP said that Bob hasn't crossed any boundaries, but I would bet if she made a move on him, he wouldn't turn her down, even if she hadn't broken up with her partner. If OP is really this torn between her best friend and her partner, she really needs to make a decision. If she's not willing to give 100% to her relationship, she should let him go so he can find someone else, someone he can build a stable life with. Let's dive into the comments to see what's being said.
Rapkey says, maintaining a relationship isn't about suddenly becoming a nun and having no feelings or lust for anyone else. It's about consciously choosing your partner every day, through thick and thin. If you're serious about your relationship with your boyfriend, it's time to tell your friend that you can no longer be friends with him, period. You're bordering on, if not already, emotional cheating. It's time to cut it off, or to break up with your boyfriend so you can go be with Bob. Either way, you need to set firm boundaries. Matata Kakiba says, you should decide if you want to be with your boyfriend or Bob and act on that decision. What you're doing now is practically emotional cheating. It's normal to notice other people, especially when you've been in a relationship for a long enough time that the initial head over heels phase is gone. But if you continue what you're doing, you'll fall in love with Bob, which is hardly okay when you're in a committed relationship, even if your boyfriend's cool with you two hanging out. If you choose your boyfriend, cut Bob out completely. It's pretty hard to repress a crush on someone when you're with them all the time. Want to be with Bob? You should break up with your boyfriend. Telling yourself that you'll cut back on time spent with Bob is just an excuse to delay the inevitable decision.
OP needs to make a decision so she doesn't continue wasting everyone's time. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Coffee and Popcorn, and I can't wait to see you on the next one.